I kind of lived in my own way, the birth of that with my mother, who started our show 25 years ago with the old school stand and stir concept, Lidia's Italian Table, in the early 90s, which was kind of the birth of the Food Network, and not the birth of food on public television in America, because we had Julia Child before her famously and Jacques Pepin, but she was one of the founders of that. So living through that and seeing it come from the first chickens being roasted in a set kitchen to reality television, voyeur cooking, all these things we're today, it's been quite an evolution over the last 30 years for sure. And when MasterChef came to the United States, obviously Gordon was associated with the project, and they were looking for a second judge. And Gordon called me, and I think that I was lucky because, and maybe they were smart enough to think of me, or either I was lucky enough for them to think of me because they wanted someone who wasn't a chef as a judge, and I am not a chef. So I was uniquely qualified for that, and no, Gordon called me up. He's like, come out, I'm doing the show, it's going to be cool. We did some screen tests, and then once we thought that our magic would work as co-judges, we went and looked for him, found Graham eventually. So once you're in the MasterChef family, for me, it really has become a big part of my life, of what I do, of my brand, of how I spend my time. Aside from my restaurants, really what I do is the show. So trying to take MasterChef, and Shine has been a great partner in the sense that there's a lot of opportunities around. So you give a lot to MasterChef, and MasterChef gives back. And when the opportunity came up, the Italians came to Los Angeles. They bought the format, optioned the format for Italy. They came to Los Angeles on set. I think it might have been season 2, to check out what we were doing. And I met the production team quite by accident. And they're like, well, the idea came up, well, you speak Italian. I kind of spoke Italian, not so great. Now I've learned. And they're like, well, why don't you come over and see how it goes? So I got the gig to do it in Italy. And then, of course, many years later, they took on the MasterChef Junior, and we started around season 4. We have 3 done. It keeps on going, so it's an exciting journey with MasterChef. It's a good question, because when we decided to take on the kids, it was the issue of, well, how do we treat kids? Like, do you treat them like kids, or do you treat them like the adult contestants, or somewhere in between? And I think that the 3 of us, Gordon, Graham, and myself, the nice balance was we decided that we would treat the kids a lot like we treat adults, in the sense, hold them accountable, a little bit of tough love, but the 3 of us also being fathers. Gordon has 4 kids, I have 3 kids, Graham has 2 kids. We also bring our instincts as parents and people who know how to deal with kids to think. So it's the fine balance between holding them accountable, teaching them and making them pay attention, and also giving them the kind of support and education that they need to become the best cooks that they can be, even at the tender young age from 8 to 13. It is the most fun to do, for sure, because the kids are way more interesting than the adults, and generally smarter, and sometimes better cooks. Through the years of MasterChef, I wanted, I've always been in the restaurant business and not being a chef. I think I've always tried to find the next thing that I wanted to do on television. It was to showcase more of really my natural habitat, which is as an investor, an entrepreneur, food entrepreneur, someone who opens up restaurants and tries to make money in the restaurant business. And bringing that to the screen, the whole element aside from the beauty and romance of opening restaurants, conceptualizing an idea, what's the business that goes on behind it? What's the investment? Where does the money come from? How are ideas funded? How do restaurants make money? And we were thinking, well, how can we bring that to a TV show? Because I think people are interested in restaurants, they're interested in business, and they wanted like that behind-the-scene look at the real nitty-gritty business part of restaurants. And Restaurant Startup is exactly that. It's behind me and Tim Love, who is my co-investor. We're looking all over the country. In season 1, we made many investments, from a pasta startup company to a burger chain, where we get the opportunity to meet these people, to see what they do, hear their ideas, and if we like their ideas, we bring them to Los Angeles, to our location, and we pop up a restaurant for a couple of days. We see them operate, we see the ups and downs of what they do. We either get more interested or less interested, and at the end of seeing them operate, seeing their idea come from basically from from a vision to a reality, we get to invest or not. Sometimes we compete against each other, sometimes we invest together. It can be any scenario. So it's always very, very interesting. I think Restaurant Startup has resonated. It's the most viewed premier original programming on CNBC that they've ever had. And I think that what really resonates is that it's real. And in fact, it's us spending real money, and it's so real that it's sometimes kind of scary. The American version has been sold into several markets already, and people are very excited about taking the format and bringing it around the world, because I think that restaurants and investing in restaurants is kind of a global theme, and people are always enamored by the concept of restaurants, whether it be in the Philippines or in Italy or in France. And I think the show has great potential in the whole world. It's a very powerful format because I think it puts the reality back into reality television. And I think that the investors are real, because there's nothing more real than spending your own money. So it's not like someone who's just wants to get on TV. You're there to make a deal, to make investments. And I would say to any potential investors that, you know, bring your A game, not only in your ability to discern talent, because at the end of the day, you wind up owning things. And to own things, you got to be willing to operate them, or to help them operate, and have the wherewithal to not only make the deal, but to see it through.